Hi everybody, this is my CNC controller that I am eventually going to use to build a print NC. Right now I'm just going to use it to spin some the axes on my mini mill that I have put away, but eventually going to build once I have space the print NC. So just to go through it, here I have a 12 gauge power cord for 120 volts, a 20 amp plug over there. This is a Nutrix PowerCon rated for AC, I think 400 volts and 32 amps continuous. Here I have the rotary disconnect, and obviously this is going to go in a box and this will fit on the outside. If I turn it on, I have a panel indicator with volts and amps that's going to sit on the outside of the box. I've got my the circuit breaker for the mains as they come in, and then wired to the rotary disconnect. As I mentioned, there's a two-level power distribution terminal block there, sending AC power to the contactor, and then another line that doesn't go through the contactor comes around here, hits a circuit breaker, and goes out here to an auxiliary plug that'll sit on the outside of the panel, and I can plug in peripherals. Contactor, power distribution, ground, neutral, and hot there. Then the power goes after the contactor into a set of 3 MCBs, one for the 48 volt power supply that's rated at 13 amps D curve, one for 3 amps, two for 3 amps each that go to my 24 volt and 12 volt power supply. I should mention, hear that humming, I've got two 90 millimeter Sanyo Denki fans there. It's going to blow air in right by the drivers here. This is going to take air out to the outside. Let's skip down here. So I have my momentary on-off switch. If you hit the on, lights up. I have an indicator. It's hard to see. It's a white light indicator there, so that I know this will sit on one side of the box, but over here I can tell that it's live, it's hot. The contactor has been engaged. Okay, so I mentioned I've got these 3 MCBs. They go to the 24 volt, 12 volt, and this is a 48 volt, 13 amp meanwhile power supply. Let's see, the 24 volt goes over here. These distribution with the blue tops there. That's my 24 volt coil for the contactor. That's a circuit breaker for the coil for the contactor. And that's all wired. This will sit on the box. I mentioned the on-off momentary switch, emergency stop. I've only got one motor, stepper motor, hooked up just to test the drivers at this point. Relay for the emergency contactor. It's going to be kind of hard to see, but I'm using a teensy HAL controller controlled by Ethernet. It seems to be working. I can jog the motors. We'll see long term if this is a solution or if I'll have to go with something else. Down the bottom there's an RJ45 breakout board. That's going to be the limits switches, which again come out by Ethernet cables, all shielded here, and they go over to limit switches, which are sitting over there. So got a variety of ground wires that'll come in here, another bus there, and eventually they're all grounded at this point here down the bottom there. You can see the green and yellow. Okay, so the 48 volt power supply, I've got another indicator. I'm all about the indicators. It's 48 volts right now. This is wired, comes over to the drivers here, and these are lead shine EM870S that I bought directly from Lead Shine USA. So the power comes from the 48 volts, and I didn't mention that first it goes into, let me turn this back landscape, these regeneration clamps. I've got 2 of them rated, I think, for 15 amp max total. So I have 2 to the Z and X, or 1 each for the Z and X and 1 for the Y and the Y prime that'll be slave to the Y axis. So it goes there, and that prevents voltage backflow. I've got the circuit breakers for ZX and the Y together. These are 7 amps each. I think I have a 15 amp circuit breaker in there. I couldn't find 14. There's the distribution there, and then that goes into power in for each of the drivers. The signal wires are coming out here off to the side. It's a little bit ugly. These are shielded wires. I only have them grounded at one end. I don't have them grounded. You can see the drain wire. I haven't cut those off yet because I wanted to figure out if they need to be connected at both ends or just grounded at one end's enough. What else is interesting here? There's only a single ground for each of the drivers, so I have those coming in here, but then they split 3 ways for the enable ground, the direction, pulse or step, and then enable ground there. Use it, as I said, twisted pair, shielded. The Ethernet cables are shielded. A lot of the external wires will be shielded, but I don't have those set up quite yet. I've got indicator lights for, this is blue for the 24 and 12 volt, and then I've got another white. Let's see if I can do this without shocking myself. That's lit up white to kind of match the 120 volt mains power indicator, and that's for the auxiliary indicator, so that'll light up white. So I've got an indicator for the 48 volt, just LEDs for the 12 volt, 24 volt, the auxiliary 110, the contactor, and then the voltage and amps there. Emergency stop, I have wires, so if you hit it, it lights up to indicate that it's in an e-stop condition. You can see this is the teensy how it registers the alarm there. And fans continue to run. You can see the contactor lights out. I wired it so the AC voltage that still shows up because it's still plugged in. It's still technically on. So I wanted to be aware of that. I let the fans run in case it was an overheat situation. They continue to run even though the machine's off. If you turn off the emergency stop. The machine doesn't turn back on until you hit the momentary stop button again. So the drivers are have the heat sinks attached, and the fan will be right here, so it'll be blowing right out the drivers, where I think a lot of heat is going to be generated. I guess that's it. I can fire it back up and show you the jog. Let's see here. Oh, I got to get rid of the alarm condition. Hit reset and then unlock to continue. Okay, still learning this. And then I have this at distance 10. This is just the jog, and feed rate 1,000 millimeters per minute. So seems to be pretty quiet. No squealing, and so seems to, I'd say maybe halfway there on the electronics. I have my gland plate over out of view here. I'm going to use all Nutric either PowerCon or SpeakOn connectors, which are rated for I think 30 or 40 amps, and the PowerCon for AC power, and the SpeakOn for I think 220 volts. Although you're not supposed to use them for AC power. I guess that's about it. All right. Well, let me know what you think. If you've got any questions, let me know, and I'll continue to update you as this build nears, completion, at least of the electronics box. Still got a long way to go.